Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. This is Sean Duhamel. I'm coming to you from my home office this week. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in. And I want to start off by thanking those members who took the time last Friday to join us and participate in last Friday's Teletown Hall event. We had nearly 4,000 members join that meeting last Friday afternoon and learn about our efforts on your behalf to make improvements to the cost of living adjustment, the so-called COLA. We walked through all the steps that are now underway to make improvements to that benefit at both the state and the local level of government. For those of you who did participate, I hope you got something out of that, and I hope you learned something from it. And I'm happy to report that in the aftermath of last week's meeting, Frank Valeri and I, along with other members of our staff, have heard from quite a few local retirement board officials, and particularly your elected representatives on a number of local retirement boards have reached out wanting to let us know what was happening at the local level, wanted information of how they can enact some of these changes at the local level. So it was very positive. And you never know who's listening in on these meetings. I know that we had a lot of local officials who did participate and did listen in last week. And we're very encouraged by that. And we're very hopeful that over the next few months, we're going to be able to make some of those changes at the local level that will benefit our members, while at the same time making improvements at the state level for state and teacher retirees. And we'll be getting you updated information as it occurs on those topics. However, today, I want to focus on some really good news that came from the States Group Insurance Commission just yesterday morning. The GIC held its January meeting yesterday morning. That meeting was recorded and it's on YouTube. So if you're familiar with YouTube, you can go back and watch the full meeting. And in fact, nearly every meeting from almost the past 2 years are archived on the GIC's YouTube channel, which enables us and anyone else to be able to go back and watch these hearings or watch these meetings and update us ourselves on whatever information was provided. If you are viewing this message through the email message that I send out every Friday, I will have a link to the GIC's YouTube channel within that message. It's also going to be contained on the massretirees.com website. But the good news, quite simply, is the suggestion from the GIC staff is for no changes in copayments and deductibles for the coming fiscal year, and no changes to plan design. Now, if the GIC approves these recommendations at their February meeting, which is taking place on Thursday, February 10th, that means that for the fourth consecutive year, we will have no changes whatsoever in terms of any kind of increases in copayments and deductibles or any reductions in retiree or active employee benefits. And this is very encouraging. Of course, year over year, we're always very hopeful that we're not going to see any increased costs, and in particular, any increase in copays and deductibles. We believe that those numbers are high enough as it is and have really created some affordability problems for many retirees, particularly those members who have been retired for a long period of time and getting up there in age, and whose pensions really haven't kept up with the cost of living over the years. Any increase of cost really impacts family budgets, and it's something that everybody, but particularly the policymakers at the GIC, need to be mindful of. And I know from many conversations and meetings with GIC Executive Director Matt Vino, he certainly takes that to heart, and it's always something that's up top of mind with him in terms of any decisions that the GIC is making. So for the coming year, what we anticipate happening is quite simple. All of the current health insurance plans offered by the GIC, those plans are most likely going to be offered again for the coming fiscal year, which will be fiscal year 23. That kicks off on July 1st. That means, again, no increase in copayments and deductibles, no changes in plan design, other than some of the policy benefits that the GIC has put in place in terms of improving things like mental health benefits and behavioral health benefits. Those are positive steps that do not increase costs and do not take anything away in terms of benefits for our members. Now, if you're a local retiree, and we say this as often as we can, all of this also matters to you, because whatever plan design decisions and cost decisions are made by the 17-member GIC Commission, those policies can also very quickly be implemented at the local level. So in other words, cities and towns can change their local plan design to mimic that of the GIC without your approval or without really much input from retirees or active employees at the local level. So we're all in this together, as they say, and that's why we put so much time and effort and emphasis on what happens at the state level, because it's very quickly in modern times going to become local policy as well. So right now we have nothing but good news to report. Now we're not going to know the monthly premiums for about another month and a half. That decision will be made in March, on March 3rd. The GIC Commission will meet and they will vote on the premium contribution rates for the coming fiscal year. Now, from the public information that's been divulged, as well as monitoring what's happened in the private sector here in Massachusetts, as well as with Medicare Part B at the federal level, all indications are, unfortunately, we are going to see some increase in your monthly premiums. To some level, as much as I hate to say this, it's really unavoidable because healthcare costs continue to go up. The question is, what can we do to keep these costs under control and mitigate any increases that might occur? Now, again, from what we understand right now, the range of increase that's likely to occur at the state level through the GIC is somewhere between 3 and 7%, with the average increase most likely landing somewhere around 5%. Now, again, these decisions are not final yet. Things are subject to change, and that 3 to 7% range is an average. So some of you may see a smaller increase in your monthly premium. Other retirees, depending on which plan you are enrolled in, may see a slightly higher increase than that. We won't know for certain until the February 3rd meeting. Now, next month, on Friday, February 11th, we will hold another town hall meeting. That teletown hall event will focus exclusively on health insurance and retiree health care issues at both the state and the local level. We scheduled it for February 11th purposely, being the day that we're going to follow the GIC's February 10th plan design meeting, where copayments, deductibles, plan design, insurance carriers, all of those decisions will be finalized on February 10th, with the rate setting meeting coming on March 3rd. So stay tuned. We're going to let you know as soon as we have this additional information. We'll get it out to you right away. That way you know what's going on and you can plan. And then in addition, the GIC next week, the last week of January, will be holding a series of listening sessions, virtual listening sessions. Prior to the pandemic, they would have done this in person and gone around the state to different locations to meet with local retirees and local employees to explain what's happening with the GIC plans, and most importantly, to hear back from you and get your feedback of what you think of your GIC plans. So their listening sessions will be done remotely because of the ongoing pandemic. Those events will take place next week. We do have a link in today's email message from me that contains all of the information, the times, the dates, how you can get involved in these listening sessions and also register to attend the session. So if this is something that you are concerned about or you have an interest in learning specifically what's going on, by all means, register to participate in one of these sessions. They're very informative. You don't necessarily need to actively participate. You can just simply listen in. So that information, again, is contained in today's email message from me. It can also be found on the GIC website. And finally, another degree of good news, or hopefully potentially good news, at the federal level, if you are a Medicare Part B enrollee, and if you've been following the news, by now I think everyone knows that the Medicare Part B premiums increased for 2022 by 14.5%. It is the largest single premium increase in the history of Medicare, dating all the way back to the 1960s. So a long period of time, more than 50 years, and this is the largest increase we've seen. Now, a big portion or a big reason behind such a large increase was the anticipation of the costs associated with the new the new Alzheimer's drug that's been developed and is being marketed by Biogen. Medicare came out with their preliminary criteria for which enrollees will be eligible to receive this new medication at the same time that Biogen has reduced the cost of the medication. So those two decisions taken together have significantly lowered the anticipated costs for 2022 that Medicare was assuming that they would have to spend on this new Alzheimer's medication. Because of those changes in those decisions, Congress has called upon Medicare to take a new look at the Medicare Part B premiums for the current year, with the hope that potentially those costs can be reduced. Now, Massachusetts Congresswoman Catherine Clark has been one of the members of the congressional leadership leading the charge and the call for Medicare to revisit the Medicare Part B premiums, and we're very hopeful that over the next week or two, a decision will be made by CMS, which oversees Medicare, and we're hopeful that that decision is positive and that those of you who are enrolled in Medicare Part B and have been paying that higher premium, it's our hope that those costs can come down a little bit, but what time will tell, and we'll let you know as soon as we have that additional information. But again, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We'll be back to you again next Friday with a most recent update of ongoing news and events. In the meantime, please stay safe.